Good morning. Today we are doing lesson 6.1 and then 6.2. We're doing like kind of a mini lesson on each. So it says solve inequalities using addition and subtraction. Well, an equality, you see the word equal in there, would mean that one thing is equal to the other. But instead of doing that today, we are doing inequalities, so they're not equal. So we have two symbols. These two symbols, one's less than and one's greater than. So let's first talk about those symbols. The inequality symbols, first we have this one, which like an L, so like the letter L, not this way because that doesn't make an L. The one that forms an L is less than. So this one, if you tilt it up a little bit, would form an L for less than. When we graph this, we're going to have to graph on a number line. So if I say that, for example, x is less than 4. On my number line there could be a 4. Less than means, I'm just going to move this over to the side here. Less than means we're going to have an open circle at 4. What I mean by open is that our answers are only less than 4. They're not equal to 4. It's only less than 4. So we're not including 4. Just everything that is less than 4. Well, less than 4 would be like 3, right? So we're going to put an arrow pointing to the left towards 3 and 2 and 1 because all of those numbers are less than 4. So the arrow would be pointing left. Oopsies. So it's an open circle pointing to the left. If you're not sure which way it's pointing, this symbol also makes an arrow. If you put a line in it, it makes an arrow pointing to the left. So let's take a look at the next one. This one also makes an L for less than. So this is less than or equal to. And this one means because we have the equal to, we could be exactly at that number. I'm going to use the same example here of x is less than or equal to 4. This means that we have a closed circle. What I mean by that is that it's filled in. So if I'm using the number 4 again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You don't need to number all the lines. But it'd be a closed circle because our answer x could be equal to 4, less than or equal to 4. So numbers that are less than 4 still are to the left. So pointing left. So these two are very similar, open pointing left and closed pointing left. So they're both less than. But now we have a greater than symbol. If this does not make an L, instead of an L for less than, this side is greater. So I'm going to use a different number this time. I'm going to say that x is going to be greater than, let's say, -2. So on my number line, here's -2. I'm just going to put it on the middle there. Going towards 0 would be -1, and then the positives. Going to the left would be more negative. This one does not have the equal to, so it's an open circle. Our answer is not going to be exactly at -2, just everything greater than -2. So open at -2, and our answers are everything that's greater than -2. Well, greater would be more positive, so towards the positive numbers. So -3 looks like it's greater because it's a bigger number, but that's really like less because that's like owing someone money or owing something. So greater than would be towards 0 or +1. 1 is greater than any negative number. So our arrow is going to point to the right. And then finally, our last symbol, just like this last one, it's a greater than, but it's greater than or equal to. So greater or equal to. That's a short way to write that. Means we have the equal to, meaning it's going to be a closed or filled in circle. So if I use the same example, x is greater than or equal to -2. So the left would be more negative, and then positives. This one could be equal to -2, so I could start right at -2. And then greater than, again, greater than numbers. If you're not sure, you could put an arrow in your symbol. It's pointing to the right, because the positives are greater than the negatives. All of these, if you put a line in the symbol, will tell you which way your arrow is pointing. So there's an introduction to our symbols. If that's a little confusing, we'll practice that a lot today. So this one, we just need to graph. Our variable always has to be on the left. If it's not, we got to take the equation and flip it around. So right here we have f is like an L less than 19. So I'm going to put 19 on here, right in the middle. You don't need to number all the lines. I'm just going to number a couple. 18, 19, 20. And then there's no equal to underneath this, so we have open circles. We are going to start at 19, but we're not going to fill it in because there's no equal to there. And then we want like an L less than, or if you need to put an arrow in there, less than 19 would be towards 18. So I'm going to make my arrow point to the left. I did it above the graph because sometimes with your pencil you can't see which way you're pointing your arrow. So this next one is a little bit different because the letter's not on the left. So we need to take our equation and flip it around so that the x is on the left. So to do that, like I did, literally we're flipping it around. But if we need to write this out, we're really just switching sides. And if we're switching sides, here's the x, here's 1, and our sign also is flipping the other direction. Like alligator eating the x right now, and then alligator's eating the x still. So this one has the equal to there, so it's going to be a filled in circle at 1. So I'm going to count 0, 1, 2. And then we want greater than, because this is not like an L for less than, this is greater than. If you want to put your arrow in there, greater than 1 would be towards 2. This next one, I'm going to put a -4 on my number line. Look at the number line on your table if you're confused. The negative numbers would go down towards 0, because 0 would be over here. And then the more negative numbers would go to the left, the bigger negative numbers. We have the equal to sign, so that would be a closed circle because we're starting exactly at 4. And then this does not make an L, so it must be greater than, if it's not less than. Greater than -4 would be towards the positive numbers, to the right. Now we're going to do a couple where we just have to simply solve a one-step equation, but instead we're going to do some inequalities. And then here's a little review for you if you're confused. So just like we solved equations, to get x by itself we would have to do the opposite of adding 4, which is subtracting 4. So we would have x equal to, well, 7 minus 4 is 3. So if we were to put 3 on our number line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's no less than or greater than. Our answer would just be 3. That's it. We're going to do the same thing here, but now we have to graph with an arrow because our answers are less than or greater than. They're not just equal to. So just like the other one, we're going to draw our line down at the symbol, just like we did here. And we're going to get x by itself. Subtract 4. And we get x is less than, well, 7 minus 4 is 3. So here's our number line. We need to simply just write our numbers on there. You can do it above or below, it doesn't matter. But there's no equal to, so we have this symbol right here. It's an open circle. We're starting at 3. And then like an L, this makes an L for less than 3, which would be towards 2 or 1. Or put an arrow in there pointing to the left. Down here we're going to do the same thing. We're going to get x all by itself so we can graph it. So we have the opposite of adding 12 would be subtracting 12. So those are gone. We have x is greater than or equal to. And then we need all the negatives together. A -14 combined with the -12, same sign, add and keep. So 4 plus 2 is 6. 1 plus 1 is 2. So we have a -26. So put the numbers on your number line. I'm going to put -26 in the middle. again, you only need a couple numbers on either side. So 0 would be over here because positive numbers are on the right, and then we'd go negative this way. So we'd go down towards 0, negative 26, 25, 24, all the way towards 0. So going the other direction, we would get bigger negative numbers, negative 27. So this one does have the equal to there, so it's going to be a filled in or a closed circle at 26. And then it does not make an L for less than, so the opposite must be greater than, which is to the right. Oops, we had this one down here. Greater than would be towards the positives. All right, a couple more like this. Opposite of subtracting 3 would be adding 3. So we have m is less than or equal to. And then this is really like 3.0, it's just 3. So we have the 0.4 still, and 8 plus 3 is 11. So you have 11.4. If you wanted to go by whole numbers, that's fine. If you want to say over here is 11.3, I'm going to turn these numbers a little bit. If you want to say over here is 11.3, 11.4, 11.5, that's fine. If you wanted to say 11.4, 11's over here and 12's over here, that's fine too, as long as there's a bigger number on the right and a smaller number on the left. It does have the equal to, so I have a closed or filled in circle. And then like an L, less than is to the left. Less than 11.4 would be 11.3. Alright, there's one more left. Be careful on this one. When I get x by itself, the opposite of subtracting 9 would be adding 9. Always look to see where x is. You want to get that number or letter all by itself. And then negative 14 plus 9. There's more negatives. How many more? Well, 9 to get to 14 would be 5. But be careful. You can't graph. Remember, we need the variable or the letter on the left. Right now, the letter's on the right. So we need to flip-flop this around. So we have x and negative 5. And our symbol also flips. That way we can graph it. You can only graph if the letter's on the left. So 0 would be over here because these are negative numbers. You'd go down towards 0 and then bigger negative numbers away. So this does not have the equal to, so it's an open circle. And then like an L here, less than, it would be to the left. Oops. Alright, so next we're going to do the same thing but with multiplication and division. So to get us ready for multiplication and division, we have one rule that we need to discover. So here I'm just giving you an inequality. 5 is less than 6, which is true. Right now, I'm going to just write true because it's true. But now we need to multiply or divide by a positive number. So I'm just going to say, hey, I'm going to multiply by 2 on both sides. Now, I'm just showing you this to prove a rule. We normally don't do the same number or different numbers on both sides. So it says multiply or divide by a positive number. Okay, so I multiply by 2. So I get 10 is less than 6 times 2, which is 12. Is that still true? Is 10, like an L, less than 12? Well, yes. Still true. G-R-U-E. So that's good. If we multiply or divide by a positive number, you'll still have a positive answer. But now it says multiply or divide by a negative number. Okay, I'm going to pick 2 again. I'm just going to multiply by negative 2. Multiply by negative 2. So if I multiply, this is multiply, little star. 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. Well, I know I started with a true statement. 5 was less than 6. Is negative 10 less than negative 12? If you're not sure, look at a number line. Negative 10, negative 11, negative 12 would be going this way. So is negative 10 less than negative 12? Well, no, that would be false. So in order to keep it a true statement, what would we have to do with this symbol? Well, 10 is really greater or more positive towards the positive numbers, so we would have to make it the greater than symbol. So that leads us to our rule here. When multiplying or dividing by a negative number, you have to flip, or you can write change there. Either one. Change, or you can write flip the inequality symbol. Whatever is going to get you to remember that this needs to move or be the other direction. Only when you multiply or divide by a negative number. Okay? So right here, to get k by itself, the opposite of multiplying by -3 would be dividing by -3. Dividing by -3. Okay, we divided by a negative, so our symbol has to flip. So we're going to flip that the other direction. We have k is less than a negative, well, 21 divided by -3 is -7. So we have a -7. I'm going to go down towards 0 over here, up and away. So there's no equal to, so it's an open circle. And then like an L, less than -7 would be like -8, -9. Those are bigger negative numbers. You'd have less money if they're negative. Alright, this next one says m divided by 4. Well, to get rid of dividing by 4, we were going to have to multiply by 4. Multiply by 4. Now think here, did you multiply by a negative number? No, I multiplied by a positive 4. A positive 4. This 6 doesn't matter. I multiplied by a positive number, so it does not change. It stays the same. And we have m is greater than or equal to a negative 6 times 4 is 24. So put a negative 24 on there. 0 would be over here, so we're going to go down towards 0, negative 23. This way would be negative 25. There is the equal to, so I'm going to fill in or have a closed circle. And the symbol makes a greater than. It does not make an L for less than. This way it would be greater. So greater than would be to the right, towards the positives. Last one on this page, we want x by itself. The opposite of multiplying by 2 would be dividing by 2. Everything stays the same. We didn't multiply or divide by a negative. 26 divided by 2, well, 6 divided by 2 is 3. 20 divided by 2 is 10, so we have 13. But be careful, you cannot graph this. If you graph this, your arrow is going to go the wrong direction. You have to rewrite it or flip this around so that the letter's on the left. And our symbol flips. Now we can graph 12, 13, 14. There's no equal to here, so this would be an open circle. And then there's not an L for less than. This makes a greater than symbol. Or put your arrow in here pointing to the right. Greater than 13 would be 14, 15. One more slide of just solving problems. Make sure we're ready to go. Draw your line down. The opposite of dividing by 3 would be multiplying by 3 on both sides. So I multiplied by 3. That's not a negative. So we have x, this stays the same, and then negative 8 times 3, 8 times 3 is 24. So we can graph a negative 24, again down towards 0. This does not have the equal to, so it's an open circle, and greater than would be to the right, to the positives. This next one is almost identical to this one. This one we divided by 3, and so the opposite was multiplying by 3. Here we have divide by -3, so the opposite of dividing by a negative would be multiplying by a -3. Multiply by -3. So remember our rule, whenever you multiply or divide by a negative, you have to change or flip the symbol. So I'm going to flip this around. I divided by a negative, and 8 times -3 is -24. So the same type of problem, almost exactly the same, except the negatives were in different spots. So we still have a -24, 23, 25 over here. Again, open circle, but this time, because we had to flip our symbol, less than, like an L here, is to the left. Alright, let's take a look at this next one. Draw your line down. We want y by itself, so the opposite of a positive 8 here would be subtracting 8. So those eliminate, and we have y equals 21 minus 8. You just count down 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13. And I tried to trick you on this one. There's no symbol, right? It's just equal to 13. So if you really wanted to graph it, it could just be a dot. There's no arrow because there's no less than or greater than. Alright, we want x by itself, so get rid of this. Subtract 9, I need to add 9. So those eliminate, and we have x is less than or equal to, and 10 plus 9 is 19. But, I'm going to pull a star here. You can't graph this like this because you need the letter on the left. So we got to flip-flop these around. X, 19, and our symbol also flips. So this is what we're going to graph. Here's 19. So 18, 19, 20. And then it has the equal to, so it's going to be a filled in or a solid circle. And then doesn't make an L for less than, so this instead will be greater than. What's greater than 19? Well, 20, 21. Or put an arrow in there pointing to the right. Next one, we have multiplied by 7, so I need to divide by 7. So we have x equal to, and then 7 times 7 is 49, but this is negative, so it's a negative 7. Going away is more negative, and then towards 0 would be going down, or negative 6, negative 5, negative 4. This is just equal to, so again, I tried to trick you. There's no less than or greater than symbol. They don't need an arrow. Last one like this, the opposite of multiplying by negative 8 would be dividing by negative 8. What happens when you divide by negative? You have to flip your symbol or change it whenever you multiply or divide by negative. So two negatives here make a positive. 8 times 8 is 64. So there's 8. So 7, 8, 9. Closed circle because we have the equal to right there filled in. And then like an L less than 8 would be towards 7 or to the left. Alright, we have 2 questions left and these should be pretty quick. It says you received a $25 off coupon, okay, that's important, to a sporting goods store in the mail. You are looking at a basketball and you want to spend no more than $15 of your own money. Write and solve an inequality to find the price of a basketball you can buy. What is the most expensive basketball you can buy? So I like to start off with how much money I have to spend. I can spend no more than $15. So is that less than or greater than 15? Well, I can't spend more than $15 because I only have 15. So I have to spend like an L less than $15. I could spend exactly equal to $15 because it says no more than. So I could spend it all if I wanted to. Well, what do I have to spend less than or equal to $15 on? Well, my basketball. I'm going to use the letter B for basketball. So the basketball, B is going to represent how much it costs. The cost of the basketball. But I have a $25 off coupon. So the basketball minus or subtracting $25 has to be less than or equal to 15, what I have to spend, right? So all I simply have to do is solve this inequality. So I'm going to draw my line down. To get the cost of the basketball that I could buy, I'm going to have to do the opposite of subtracting 25 and add 25. So those go away. We have B is less than or equal to 5 plus 5 is 10. So we have $40. So B, the price of the basketball, has to be less than or equal to $40, which makes sense because we have a $25 off coupon and we can't spend more than 15. So here's the inequality. We wrote it and we solved it. So what is the most expensive basketball you can buy? You can write a not $15. We can spend or buy up to a $40 basketball. It's going to be a pretty nice basketball. Alright, last one. This is a true story. It says a student pilot plans to spend 80 hours on flight training to earn a private license. So 80 hours on flight training. The student has saved $6,000 for training. Which inequality can you use to find the possible hourly rates are that the student can afford to pay for training? So this is what I was saying was true. It says Jonathan Strickland was the youngest black pilot at age 14. He set the world record for piloting or flying 6 airplanes and 1 helicopter on the same day. Pretty cool. So back to our problem here. We have only $6,000 total to spend on training. So we have $6,000. Can we spend less than or greater than $6,000? Well, I can't spend more than $600 or $6,000 because I don't have more than $6,000. So like in L, I have to spend less than. I could spend exactly equal to $6,000. As you notice, all of our symbols also have the equal to. So we have to spend less than or equal to $6,000. Well, what has to be less than or equal to? Well, we're spending 80 hours on our training. 80 hours, we don't know how much it costs, so we can multiply the number of hours by the cost to tell us what it would cost total. And that number here, the number of hours times the cost, would have to be less than or equal to $6,000 because that's all we have to spend. So which one matches this? Well, even if you didn't know this part and you knew you had to spend less than or equal to $6,000, well, this one says greater than or equal to, so that one's out. This one says less than or equal to, that's good. This one says greater than or equal to, that one's out. And this one has less than or equal to, which is good, but it says 6,000 times the number of hours. You're not spending $6,000 per hour. No, it doesn't make any sense. So just by looking at that, you can see that it's going to be B. So here is your homework. Good luck, show your work, and let me know if you have any questions.